Okay, this is the casual discussion portion of CALI-FUN-YEAH. This is Yes California, CALEX at Congress. There it is, the technical information, but we're trying to market because Yes California is always about marketing, and basically this seems to work. Like we just did a super casual version last week, and we got 2 or 3 new subscriptions, and we had old-time members joining in. So literally, this is what I wanted to do is let's just go to Elliot. Elliot, what the fuck's going on? We were going to have a meeting. I was talking to Robert about something else, but look, clickety fuck, this is the casual version. I don't know what I'm doing right now, like half stoned or whatever, but we're going to have the same intelligent political talk. So Liberty Block, what's going on? Secession, there's only 2 states in America who have actually proposed it through the legal system, through the proper channels, through the actual, like some sort of representative getting in all the way through. 2 out of 50, Texas, New Hampshire. We just talked, Yes California exclusive interview, 1 hour with Mike Sylvia, the proposed, the guy who actually wrote the most extensive, not extensive, but technically legally correct, like perfectly glistening, crystally correct way to actually walk it through the system with all the pedigree and all the titles and bells and whistles and throughout the proper democratic process. And he actually got on, and it's full-blown secession. And we got an exclusive interview with him because Liberty Block helped get that going, and Liberty Block has been in partnership with Yes California for at least like 2-3 years, because we said that if you're really going to be serious about secession, you're going to have to get the people on the other side to actually back it, and you're going to have to negotiate with them. And so it's nice to see fruitful partnership. I'm going to shut the fuck up. Elliot, what's going on? Dog?
Yeah, I love the name, the CALI-FUN-YEAH. That is pretty cute.
Okay, that's not my idea. That was a very intelligent woman's idea, not a man's idea. So there you go. That's some California virtue signaling for you.
So I got to run in a sec, but real quick, LibertyBlocks.com is doing great. You spoke to Mike Sylvia. The most we can have is 10 co-sponsors. He's the prime sponsor. We can have 10 co-sponsors in the House. We already have 8 or 9 or maybe even 10. So by Thursday, by the deadline, we're probably going to have 10, which is fantastic news. Again, first time ever in history we're even proposing a bill, and to have the max amount of co-sponsors, this is going to be pretty epic. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention to you, which I'm fine mentioning live because who gives a shit about anything anymore? Who cares?
Yeah, who gives a shit? Fuck.
I started a website. Yeah, I started a website called Progressive State Project, and it's kind of like the opposite of FSP. It's going to help progressives realize that New Hampshire is not the best place for them, and there are other states that are more progressive that they'll like more. For instance, New Hampshire is becoming less progressive and more libertarian. California is progressive and becoming more progressive. So I was going to ask you if you wanted to contribute articles to it, because you know California policy very well, obviously, and you're proud of California and you love California, which is awesome. That's how it's supposed to be. So the website is educating progressives about the recent things over the last 5-10 years in New Hampshire, how non-progressive, how we've limited abortion rights tremendously, from full pregnancy, now limited it to 24 weeks abortion ban, taking money out of the public school system with passing school vouchers, EFAs, cutting taxes, cutting welfare. We cut the state budget. So during this time, we actually cut state spending year over year. So all of these libertarian policies that are the opposite of progressive, we're helping to educate progressives, because most progressives are, busy working. They don't follow the news as closely as I do. So we're educating them about things going on the past few years in New Hampshire, how we're getting rid of gun laws, getting rid of tolls, getting rid of taxes, and decreasing the size of the public school system and the government in general. So if you guys, anyone here in the California Congress or those listening, if you guys want to write articles explaining to people, especially in New Hampshire, that California is a better destination for progressives to live in, they'll be happier living with those who share their values, as opposed to New Hampshire, which is going further and further away from progressive values. Those could be good articles for progressivestateproject.com.
Can you type in the private chat your email?
My email? Yes, sir.
Fresno Air Quality Index was 274 today. Dangerous to go outside for everyone for a few minutes. WTF. I think that means, wow, that's fantastic. I don't know why you would say it's fantastic, Silent Mike, that the air quality sucked out here, but I don't judge. So here we go.
I thought WTF was for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I'll show you the comment right now he's making, and then you can tell me, like, I love Silent Mike, but sometimes I'm like, what is this? What's this guy doing?
No, I jest, of course. What the fuck?
What the fuck? Here we go. So This is what he said.
Let's
Maybe you
see.
can jump in real quick. The air quality index today was 275. Dangerous to go outside for everybody for a few minutes. That's what Silent Mike said. And he goes, what WTF, which obviously means without withholding transfer funds. Sorry, really bad at this. Don't quote me verbatim. Okay. Anyways, Alu, you can see what we're up to over here. Sorry, this is our fun time one. We're experimenting with the marketing. You're like literally seeing us at the I don't know, the inception stage. Where, you know,
I'm all for fun. I'm the biggest proponent of fun in the world, dude.
Okay. All right. So yeah, and that's why you should do activism. It should be like a good time. It shouldn't always be like, yeah, you have to do
All
like,
right.
yeah.
Down to the serious business. You guys all better be at Liberty Forum in March, or else.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Like-
March 20th or 22nd.
Liberty Forum is going to be, I think, March like 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Oh, that's right. 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the 5th is my birthday, so I'm going to have to remember
Nice.
that.
So, yeah, you guys can like get a table and stuff. Hopefully, speak to Rachel. We'll make sure you get in touch. Like, get a table and everything. And Cal-Exit can have a whole table, or it could be an independence thing. We're going to have an independence panel, so maybe you could be on it. Let's just coordinate with me, you, and the people coordinating Liberty Forum, because this is again, it's one of the events put on by the FSP. So it's a very libertarian crowd. 90% of people in attendance, like 95% will support secession. So it'll be a friendly crowd. So let's make sure you're on for the panels.
Event?
What's that?
Is it in-person event?
Yeah, it's usually at like a nice big hotel with a big area in Manchester.
Okay.
So the Liberty
So
Block is
Marcus,
going to have a
we're
table,
going, right?
and there's going to be a secession panel, I believe.
Yeah. So Rachel Goldsmith, I guess, is a contact with Rabbi Stephen Axelman, who's a real person. We just call him the Rabbi, whatever. He's known as the Rabbi. So he's making contacts with a bunch of secessionists around America, and he's got his own organization, like Americans United for Peaceful Secession, or something like UPS.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. So anyways, he's going to bring Rachel Goldsmith to this Sunday's meeting. That's this Sunday, 2 p.m. EDT, Eastern Development Transition, or Eastern Daily Time. Still experimenting with the humor, sorry. And also the meeting is this Sunday at 11. So, God, I'm really bad at this. I'm so used to like formal everything. So.
Are you sure it's not Easteros daytime as opposed to Westeros daytime?
So that'll be 11 a.m. here at our meeting. So she will be here, Liberty Forum, Rachel Goldsmith, Rabbi Stephen Axelman, this Sunday at 11 Pacific time. And we can continue to talk. Everybody's still invited. You know.
Oh, I have a weird question for you guys.
Yeah.
And everyone listening. I know you guys are actually pretty good with graphics because you've helped with some stuff over the years. My dad, for Americans United for Peaceful Separation, AUPS, we would love to have a logo for the site. If you know anyone who can help make a logo, like graphic designers, we would love for a really good logo. Like Liberty Block has a logo, AUPS would love one. So my dad and me run the site. We love a logo. If you know anyone.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we'll get working on that. AUPS. AUPS. Nice. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
And then,
I'm going to go run and try to my wife.
I'm sorry. I know you got to go. Can you type the website in? AUPS?
Yeah, it's AmericansUPS.com.
Okay.
I'll type it in.
Sorry. Thank you. And
So
everybody.
can I place an order for delivery? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's a bad joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's the whole point, though. That's the whole point, is that he wants the big idea, at least as it was explained to me, was to make it like tricky, like it seemed like it was UPS. So, we lost Elliot, but let me see if I can find that. It's Americans United for Peaceful Separation. And then we'll get right to the other part. We're just talking about it. All right, there it is. So they want, I found it here, posted it's in the private chat. So it's Americans United for Peaceful Separation. Yeah. And that is the big idea. There it is. That's Americans UPS. So Americans United for Peaceful Separation. There's the idea. This is the whole idea. So you're going to have like a podcast. And oh, look, there we go. Secession is back in vogue. Ah, look at that. Nice. So he wants to get everybody connected who's representing different individuals legitimately, all for the same goal as we have, basically to legitimize the conversation, the dialogue. Because if you can do that, God damn it.
And if you know of any other movements, like I know you're in contact with a lot of movements like Baja California, Mexico, and all that stuff, tell my dad, because he wants to have like a page on the site for every single movement in the United States and maybe the world. I don't know. But like if you know of any other state, like Oregon's or Washington's movements, or if Nevada has an independence movement, I'm sure they have at least a small movement. Like let us know. We want like a page on the site for every state.
When I was talking to Mike Sylvia, we were talking about how Texas and New Hampshire are the ones that are the preeminent tips of the spear of this idea so far. They've actually got legislation in. Yes, California would be a close third because we've actually proposed 3 different resolutions that got in.
And it's a shame because, like, I think as you guys understand, because you spoke to Mike Sylvia, it's so sad because even if states, let's say like 85% of people in Nevada wanted to secede, right? Like they really wanted secession more than anything. It still wouldn't happen because the government, like Mike explained to you, is not responsive to the people. In New Hampshire, the government is so responsive to the people because it is the people. It's 400 state reps. They get paid $100 a year. They're regular people. I was hanging out with like 5 more tonight. They're just regular people like us. One of them's a home inspector. One of them drives Uber. One of them does insurance sales. They just do regular jobs. So the regular people and people who support independence will propose a bill. Other states, every single politician is a professional politician in a professional class. So if 90% of people in Nevada wanted secession, it still would not happen because the state reps don't give a shit what normal people want because they're not normal people. So that's another thing, like California, Texas. Even in Texas, we saw what happened. In Texas, a bill was proposed by one good state rep. I don't know if he had any co-sponsors. He might have had 1 or 2 others sign on to it, and it was crushed. Because the way the state runs, it's not very, I don't like the word democratic, but it's not a very democratic process. It's horrible ruling class elitist process. So right now, to be honest, yeah, Texas has a lot of independence. They have a lot more independence culture than New Hampshire does. I'll admit it. Texas has a very big independence secession culture. They do. I went down there and people, they talk about secession even more than we do, but it's never going to happen. Legislatively, it can't happen. California, I know a bit about how Sacramento runs. It can't happen. Wyoming, Nevada, it can't happen because the states are just not built for it. The government infrastructure is set up in a really shitty way. In New Hampshire, thank God, of all the state governments, this is the least shitty because it has 400 and they're normal people who don't make any money doing it. So that they have to face their constituents every day. So just for the biggest reason, to be honest, I think New Hampshire's pro-liberty and it's great and we're prosperous, but the biggest reason we can successfully secede is simply we can get a bill and the bill can pass because the state reps here are normal people. Now, the state Senate is 24 pre-elite establishment people like Mike explained to you. So good things don't pass the Senate. People say a big joke around here, the Senate's where good bills go to die because they don't pass a lot of good bills because they are more establishment. But as far as the House, it is, the best House chamber in any state. And that's the biggest difference between us and the other states. So even if people want it, doesn't mean things happen. So even if they want it, it can't happen on the other state. It would be so difficult.
Yeah, Mike Sylvia of New Hampshire that we were just featuring there for a moment was literally saying the exact same thing. So he was talking about how in New Hampshire, they have possibly the most traditional Greek form of democracy where you have like literally a couple thousand people per legislator. So I love the fact that they're able to make it exist. Everybody says you can't do that. It's just a romantic idea lost into the trappings of history, and that's just simply not true. New Hampshire does it all the time. It still works. They haven't crashed into abyss.
What's funny is that for a constitutional amendment, it needs 60%, 3/5 of the legislature, and then it needs 2/3 of the people to vote. Obviously, if you know politics, 2/3 is 66%, which is extremely difficult for anyone to get ever. So for people to vote 66% for something, it's extremely rare, right? Yes, but here's the thing. When a good thing is on the ballot, that's clearly a good thing that people want. In New Hampshire, they vote for it because they're smart voters. In 2018, I believe, there were 2 constitutional amendments that were on the ballot in 2018. They both passed. I think one had 81% of the vote of the people. It was a good thing that was amended our Constitution, and we did it. So 81% of people will vote for something if it's good. So that was either the right to privacy in our Constitution, or it was the ability for all taxpayers to have standing to sue the government for how they use our tax money. So they were both really good. One got like 60 or 70%, one got 80%. So, or maybe they both got 80%. So that's a lot. So yes, if people see secession as good, which I think I would argue most New Hampshire citizens do, then it'll pass with 70, 80%, and we will be independent.
What I loved is that he's a regular guy. He's just a normal, run-of-the-mill, regular dude. Just I'm trying to exit this. Regular dude, and he talked very reasonably about that. You can go to my channel or any of the Yes California channels and look that up. It's an interview with New Hampshire. So Liberty Block, Elliot Axman here helped work with, and I'm sorry, dude. I think we inspired you. So I've been saying that. I hope that's cool. But because we proposed a referendum 4 years ago, and
that's fine.
Proposing a referendum. So okay, cool. Because I was awesome. So I don't want you to be all upset, dog, behind my back or whatever. Like, all right. So we did inspire you. We were doing a referendum over here. You figured out how to work out a referendum in New Hampshire. You found a legislature who was legally elected, and you actually got it in. And you actually are you have about 8 or 9 legislators there who are going to sign on, and you're approaching the theoretical top amount of people that can sponsor a bill, showing that it's as maximally supported, I guess, if that's not actually correct phrase, of a legislation going forward. And I think that's pivotal because when we were talking about the interview with Mike Sylvia, we were going into the fact that, he already has the Speaker of the House there in New Hampshire, basically, talking shit. And basically saying he's a racist, and he hates Mexicans, and of course, as a Latino, as a Mexican, I basically asked him about that. He's like, "No, I don't hate Mexicans," and I go, "I didn't think so."
Anyone who listens to the actual thing he was saying in the video meeting will see that he's not a racist. It was like the least racist thing. He literally said, "If we're going to try to pass this bill, let's use strategy and explain that the federal government does a shitty job on the border," which everyone agrees with. Some think it's, the left and the right both think it's a shitty job. And he said, a lot of conservatives don't want, conservatives consider Mexicans dirty and don't want so much immigration. And let's use that to our advantage to tell conservative reps to support independence because they do want stronger immigration controls. So he wasn't saying he supports it because he's libertarian. And libertarians are pretty open borders people. They're very pro-immigration. So he was saying some conservative reps, let's get their support by saying we can control our own immigration and not let DC control it. Literally, if you listen to the whole interview, it's clear. But yeah, the speaker was pretty ridiculous to call him a racist with that. But again, the thing about the speaker is the Speaker of the House and all politicians, they do what they think is popular because they don't want controversy and they want to be liked and get reelected. So that everything they do is politically calculated. And the only difference is with normal state reps like Mike Sylvia, who's not in big time leadership, they do what they feel is the right thing to do, principled wise, like on principle. But once you're the Speaker of the House or governor, like for instance, the governor the other day, everything he does is politically calculated because he wants to go to the U.S. Senate and then be president of the U.S. So everything he does is calculated based on that. Whereas Mike Sylvia doesn't give a shit. He's a normal dude who just wants to live in his house and be able to also have an RV in his property. That's all he wants, freedom. So, it's a very big difference. The Speaker of the House, yes, it was all political. I know him. I've talked to him for a long time. I like him personally. I think he generally supports freedom, but everything he has to do has to be that way. He's a Speaker of the House. He has to politically calculate everything. Same with the majority leader, same with everyone else. And senators are the same. They have to, and even me, if I were a state rep or in leadership, I'd have to calculate everything politically. Thank God we have state reps who are still so small and normal, they don't have to make calculations. Yeah, the Speaker was making political calculations.
I mean this, oro de canal. That's excellent. You know what they call that? That's original Greek democracy. They said it was the farmers who threw down the plowshare to wear the toga. Small business owner says, I'm still doing that, but I have a little bit of free time, so I'm going to run for office, and all I'm trying to do is actually run an effective government, and then as soon as that's done, I'm going to go back and be a small business owner, and I'm sick and tired of all the elites here and whatever, or the intelligentsia saying, oh, you can't do that. This is the modern age, and you can't do that. They're doing it. it's a relatively functional government. You can look up the federal rankings of state accounting and effectiveness of service distribution, and like the federal government rates that New Hampshire's doing relatively okay, and they haven't.
Oh, did I show you my shirt that I made for Sununu?
What?
I made a T-shirt for Sununu.
Let's hear it. See it. Is it? I'm sure it says something very nice.
It does.
You got to get closer, slower, closer, steady. Wait for it, closer.
Do you know how to read or not?
What the hell does that say?
It says governor and it's crossed out and it says dictator.
Oh.
Non sabe ler in inglés.
Also, is that a Glock 40 on your hip?
Glock 19.
19, okay.
Yeah, so remember the article I wrote about
Damn American.
Yeah, well, I don't call them governors anymore. I call them dictators. Because a governor governs and a dictator dictates and doesn't have a legislature input. So you know how the legislature is supposed to pass legislation? Like that's why they call it the legislature. When dictator Sununu and dictator Newsom and all the other, all 50, for the last year and a half, said that the legislatures don't exist anymore and every law will be executive order from here on out indefinitely for 14 days to slow the curve. 2 years. Yeah.
That's all correct. That's all correct. I know you're mad. I know you're popping off a little, but that's all technically correct. So you liberal as you are, yeah, they did. Newsom said, I don't need the legislature. I'm just going to do it.
Sununu did the same thing for 16 months. So he's a dictator. So if the legislature can't pass laws anymore and everything will be executive order, I wrote an article a year ago saying, all right, let's just disband the legislature. They're useless anyway. Why pay them? Let's get rid of it. If the governor can do everything by executive order. So, what was funny the other day? There are a lot of people don't realize this. They think he's popular because he has a nice smile and a nice handshake, and he's a good politician because he was raised by another governor daddy. So he's a good politician. Yeah, good. So he, people think he's popular, but among the actual conservatives and GOP Republicans, people in New Hampshire, on the right side of the spectrum, the majority of them actually hate Sununu and want him to resign. So he's actually not that popular. The majority of Republicans, actually here in New Hampshire, hate him. So yeah, I've actually heard from top Republican officials that he's straight up a Democrat. He's just a politician. Anyway, so he's been rattled because people have been Republicans, not Democrats. Republicans have been doing tremendous rallies and the protests, and they have signs about Sununu and dictator Sununu, where's Sununu chance? And now he wants to give more power to the feds, which is the opposite of what we want. We want more state sovereignty, not less. He's about to give total power to the feds forever. So, and sign us with a contract, accept the grant, and accept their conditions to let them run our whole response to the medical issue. The medical issue I can't say the name of. He's been rattled, and he's actually come on Facebook, which he never does, and he was commenting.
The People's Republic thanks you.
Yeah, so he's been coming on Facebook commenting and stuff, and he was commenting on my friend's thing on Facebook the other day, and he was, because these people are upset. This is a nurse who's going to get fired, and asked him to intervene about the the V mandates at jobs. And Sununu, after 2 years of executive orders controlling businesses, shutting down businesses, regulating the fucking bejesus out of them, after 2 years of this, a year and a half of executive orders telling gyms they have to close. He shut my fucking gym for a year. I had to run it outside and almost got hit by a car running on the highway. So he shut gyms for a year. He lost people's jobs. He totally controlling business, right? After a year and a half, when it comes time for the people to ask him to step in against these mandates so they don't get fired, he comments on Facebook, his personal account, to me and to a woman named Therese, a nurse, saying, guys, Alu and Therese, I would never control business. I don't have the power to do that. I never would. I never want to. I can't control business. And I'm like, bro, what have you done for the last 2 years? You've been controlling business, not even controlling, you've been shutting them down. So you can control business. And he kept saying, and he commented on Facebook. This is at 2 a.m. He was commenting on Facebook. He's like, no, I would never control business. I've never made any decision politically calculated. I never put politics in a decision. Saying the most amazing things. So I wrote an article right after that. What's up? Yeah, it was pretty funny. So I wrote an article saying, after 15 months of controlling business, dictator Sununu says he would never control business. It's like a Babylon Bee type of thing.
Okay, so here's what I heard you say was dictator got played good. Looped into argument on Twitter. And we're just going to post that even with spelling errors just because this is crazy fun time. If you don't know what we're doing here right now, it's casual.
Okay. Marcus, you know my only issue with you? If I hit the back button or even do anything, it fucking throws me out of the video.
Oh,
What you just bowed.
Silent Mike.
Marcus. You just bowed.
Silent Mike. You have to be silent. That's the whole thing.
Oh,
man.
were you bowing?
I was bowing to you. I was bowing to you because this is what I heard. Silent Mike was the only one that got it. Like we got like other people who haven't taken a vow of silence. I mean, Silent Mike. Just real quick for everybody who's like going, why is Silent Mike? Silent Mike is from China, and he was the part of China that the Shaolin Temple was in, and he like trained for years, and then the government came in, took it, and like he had to. So he took a vow of, he's never going to speak until he's able to go back and free the other monks. So
I don't know if I trust you.
Forward kung fu. So that's what he told me. So
just as long as there's no self-immolation involved, I think I'm good.
Okay,
Marcus,
so
if I go to another tab, will it kick me out of the meeting?
No, you can press private chat.
I'm on my phone. Shit. What the fuck?
Well, I do want to point out that
am I still here?
From my phone, you're still here.
Where the fuck am I
When I
then?
use it from my phone, I usually get to stay on the stream for like a minute, but then if I like pop open YouTube or Facebook or something, it boots me out of StreamYard.
Oh,
Let me
do you
do
guys
this
have
right.
those flyers like this, dude? Palm cards?
Look, does anybody know why I'm bowing? This is what I'm attempting to do. Does anybody know why I'm doing this besides trying to get our subscriptions up? So we'll see if that works out. Anybody know?
Because
why?
it's good exercise?
No, come on. What is it? What are you saying? New Hampshire okay.
Do you guys have palm cards or business cards to give out to every rally? You should go to every pro-progressive rally and give shit out, dude. I've been covering New Hampshire with these the last few weeks. Everyone in New Hampshire now has one of these. It's awesome. Get some.
That's a very good idea.
Well, and let me just talk up Liberty Block here for a second. So the reason that I'm bowing, thanks, Jason. Look, is that when you're able to piss off the system, people in power to the point that they're up at fucking 2 a.m. and they're like fucking punching back at you, you won. Everybody's always like, no, winning's when we get our way. No, fuck that. That's fucking unicorns. Grow up, you fucking 2-3-year-old fucking activist. You ain't playing the game. If you in it to win it, like fucking Elliot, you've been in the trenches. You got punched in the fucking face, in the fucking nuts. You got fucking back up. We've been there. I fucking cried fucking many fucking times. And, you keep up. So what he did was he got the governor of the state to argue with him and specifically target him on Twitter. He wouldn't do that unless he was threatened and unless you got him. And when you do get that, what that means is that you're actually doing something that's going to cause him pain, and it's effective. When the system attacks you, so I always tell all the young fuck activists, look, when you get knocked down fucking hard, that's when you go out and pop champagne bottles at the club and take out hoes or whatever you're into. I'm not, hey, Hillary Clinton should have won the election. I'm not, whatever. But you get dictator or the governor to argue with you 2 a.m. on Twitter, you're up in their face.
It was Facebook. It was even worse than Twitter.
What?
It was Facebook.
Whatever it is. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's winning.
So you got to read the article.
Kinda like-
Screenshots in there. It's pretty effed up.
Kind of like how with the California recall, Marcus had asked me to point out some very valuable, viable strategic analysis about, hey, leaving the second part blank, though it is a personal choice that everyone can make, it's something that should not be openly encouraged by the person who's facing the recall, mainly because of, propriety's sake, but also 2, should not be encouraged by the highest sitting level of governance here, because it's a vote, and telling people to not vote, that's not America. That's not democracy, right? not Democratic Party, Republican Party, but just, democratic value in general. That's telling people not to vote is the antithesis of that. So
Elliot, can you post that Twitter?
we go and point this out on Twitter, and then my Twitter gets shut down, gets everything removed. They blocked and banned me. I couldn't even view what other people were saying on Twitter. I was blocked from Twitter more hardcore than even Marcus.
And that was my fault. And
what did I miss?
I got Jason banned. I asked him to go and make a comment like we typically do, and he cited, proper references from proper sources, including the government, and explained the actual law to people in real time, as he does, as like all the people we train here at staff to do. Gets really good at this stuff. That's why a lot of people come to us, whatever. And his return for that was they kicked him off Twitter. So he was talking about in the recall election, there's question 1, there's question 2, you got to vote on question 2. And he was actually properly explaining the law, walking it through, totally cool, way smooth, Obama, Barack style smooth, proper legal citation, everything. Next thing he knows, next day he's like booted, like all the way booted. And, I directed him to do that. I always tell the activists, if you're doing something and if you're in leadership, you always take responsibility. So Jason fought his way back. And it was hard, and it was an example of hardcore censorship of the left against other progressives using the law who have nothing to do with Trump or alt-right behavior and still getting banned and censored. And that's only one example. There was a candidate, John Drake, who did the same thing. He was covering something.
It's also, if I may real quick, it's also a prime example of what you had said about when they actively start working against you to silence you. That's how you know you're saying the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's you. Yeah. So again, congratulations to you. You're a married man.
Yep.
And I met your wife. She's a nice woman and she seems very smart. Probably holds you to account. Something you need. You look better for it. So you look, you're a healthy guy. And tonight is what you guys eat out there, lobster? What?
Sometimes,
like if you go, we're gonna go out and party. Where do you is it steak dinner? Like over here we say sushi. And I know people like sushi. But yeah.
I like steak. My wife likes seafood and sushi and everything.
Okay, so you would say hey baby, we're going out to a steak lobster dinner, right? If you were going to celebrate, well, tonight's the night to celebrate because you played his ass. When you get people to be upset and attack you, that's it. Look, somebody really smart once told me that Gandhi really gave himself to his activism, to his rebellion against the British Empire. And what he did was he really said the ultimate fuck you to the empire by saying, I'm willing to kill myself. And he did that so that he could get attention. He also taught us some pivotal things in the 4-step process. First, they ignore you. Then they laugh at you. Then they fight you. Then you win. You skipped all the way up to motherfucking step 3. So this is why I always tell activists, when you're getting spanked hard, directly, smile and say, thank you, because that's success. They don't attack you unless you're doing something that can get to them.
I mean, he got so upset. He told me to go to China if I want communism.
Yeah. So you're doing something that works, which I always say, look, if you get spanked, you do more of that. Most activists always get this fucked up. And they're like, oh, I got spanked hard doing this. I should back off. No.
Mm-hmm.
You suck in all your fucking resources and plow. It's like, dude, the market told you where to strike them. It's the chink in the armor. It's the little sore from the previous wound. That's where you wedge in. So whatever you were doing, figure that out and do more of that. And congratulations on getting attacked personally by the motherfucking governor of the state for a policy that you decided to push back on and originated marketing for. And surprise, longtime partner, yes, California, because we recognize talent and we want to talk to anyone out there. Elliot, good work, man. Seriously.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm gonna run. I'll talk to you soon, though. Thanks, guys.
Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
So this is the other thing is someone glued themselves. It's sad. Anyways, back to I'm sorry, Jason.
Oh no, sorry. I coughed and I didn't realize my mic was on until after I coughed.
Thoughts, feelings, and then we're going to go back to Robert's question of the
I'd
political-
really like to go. I haven't been to New Hampshire in a long time. I referenced it recently, and I bring it up once in a while. My step grandfather, Richard Dornhofer, was the the owner purveyor of Epsom Antiques and Gardens in Epsom, New Hampshire. The reason I have Richard as my second middle name is because he and I were close. And yeah, like I was really wanting to get out there at the Pork Fest, and still a bit bummed we couldn't be there physically, but glad that a way was found to at least make a virtual attendance happen. Because it was too big, mainly because it's too big to not do, but also partly because I want to go back and, see New Hampshire. But yeah, if you're down to take a little road trip, let's hit up Adam. Let's make a road map from the Bay Area through the Valley or whatever, and down to SoCal, and then shoot over to Gardenia. Well, I guess Arizona, and then Gardenia, and then back through Arizona again, but on the other side.
Sunday, join us Sunday at 11 a.m. We're going to be talking about the Liberty Forum, and Rachel Goldsmith will be here with the rabbi. So we'll be planning it there. Please join us.
Yeah, I'm totally looking forward to that. And hey, you're saying it'll be during my birthday, sandwiched right in the middle of those 3 days. So
really?
if everyone wanted to chip in for me and send me to New Hampshire to attend as California's CalEx ambassador,
Yeah.
I would totally bite that bullet for the team. I've also already been
totally
jabbed twice. So.
Oh, you've gotten everything. So great. You have your vaccine passport and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Then you might be the guy. So that's this Sunday. Please check us out. Rachel Goldsmith, Rabbi Stephen Axelman. We just finished with Alu Axelman, Liberty Block. And let's go to supporting political candidates. Sorry, Robert, about that. But that was kind of like breaking information from something that we did. And the information about New Hampshire and seceding is like real time. Like that's in the news like right now. And so media always comes first. But to get to the question, right back to it, we made a lot of inroads with the recall candidates, got a hold of many of them. A lot of them thought very well of the organization, thought that we were fair. And even though they learned that we were a secessionist organization, because we never pushed that, we still had a great deal of, good networking, really good friendships. And then you just colleague building and respect. And some of them even recognized how we were getting our information pulled down from Wikipedia, and that it was unfair, and they tried to fight and help get us stuff. And we had 10 of them do interviews on the topic that we always talk about here. Anyways, 2 of them we're continuing to work with, Leo Zaki and Jackie McGowan. We're still open to the others. The plan right now is we wanted to back some Senate candidates. Basically, we wanted to back anybody who's running and provide campaign services for them that we had done already for some of the candidates, at least during part of the recall election, across social media platforms, but really just basic marketing using video messaging, proper lighting, and video camera techniques, and then posting it across a variety of distribution networks, just so that you kind of had a seamless look and it was all, I'm sorry to say, but Larry Elders and Gavin Newsom quality. So, and I say that just so that you know what we're talking about. We were able to market candidates to at least the front, the facade, the front interface was equivalent to your top $1 million candidates. And so that's what we're saying. It's like, you can spend all that money, or you can go to people who have the equivalent amount of labor value. And I've always said, we don't have the money, but we have the people worth it. We're a $1 million organization if you look at the amount of talent and the amount of work we're actually like employing people to do while not paying them. I'm sorry, we're trying to get there. But because of that talent, we were able to offer a high level, acumen and just representation and just thinking correctly about the political process. And we were able to almost sell that. We didn't charge money, but I would call it a sales program. And it worked very well. Got a hold of maybe like 8 candidates who were willing to be sponsored by us. So that was pretty great. Mike, you're not connected. But anyways, let's see, private chat. You do, man. Take care, foe. Okay. We're still trying to get in contact with the others. You can't actually file paperwork for the governor's election in 2022, I think, until November of this year. So we're still waiting for that a little bit. When that happens, we expect it to heat up in November, December. Now, we were looking at hosting debates with the candidates for anybody who's willing to run. A lot of people haven't really been talking about the next election so far. I thought that they were, but we also thought that the recall election was going to come in like close to 52-48 or something like that, because earlier polling showing Gavin Newsom crushed it. And I had predicted that if he would have to have a percentage like he did in order for it to be squashed, and if it was, it was. So that kind of sucked the enthusiasm for the next election. Now, I think people will still run because they liked it, but the buzz was kind of removed. You look at the Republican convention they had in California after the recall election, and it had the worst attendance in like a decade or two. So there's a lot of oxygen sucked out of the room. Plus, honestly, there's so many misdeeds, and just, I can't prove it, but just, wow, that looks like hella corruption and just games and not on the up and up from the Democratic Party in the management of the recall election process. So I'm not going to go into details, but it really kind of like discouraged a lot of people. However, I do think some people are going to run. We're still waiting on that. I'm in contact with 2, and we're still working with Fuji. I've been having a little bit of trouble getting hold of him, but he was still working with candidate Collins, so that's a 3rd one. And we're also going to work with Salvador, who's out of Southern California, so that's 4. And that's still the plan. Offer basic campaign services, but in return, they have to say that they support the concept of whatever. I forget, self-determination, autonomy, rights, whatever. And that's basically what we're at. We're still waiting for some of the candidates to get activated again, to get back into it. And I need to recontact Fuji Shiora. I haven't been able to talk to him in about a week. I called and emailed. So I'm assuming he's on vacation. So I was going to wait another week. But no progress working with him so far. Lost contact, at least for a week. I'm assuming he's just on vacation. And on the other hand, with the other people, it's generally, we're still waiting for the development to get going. But I still believe it's a good idea, because we were able to get a lot of politicians to say that they were open to a vote for independence when we talked to them. At least 10 out of 42, which is 25%, were willing to do some sort of statement like, yeah, it's okay to have a vote on that. And if there's a vote, then the people I will follow the will of the people as long as it's a legal process. Now, we've never had politicians say that. And we got 10 potential ones to actually say it, 25%. So I think there really is proof of concept that you package it a certain way and it's safe. And then you can get more people to talk about it and the conversation is more normalized. That's the answer.
Yeah, well, and I definitely think that the proof of concept it worked great, but yes, California, the organization, if we are going to continue to do things and do well, and maybe even move this whole thing further, we are going to need to start getting some bit of funding, mainly because, Elliot had a good point, flyers to hand out, and,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I've actually been working as a campaign manager recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Candidate Cooper.
Yes, candidate Cooper, District 6, San Francisco supervisor. That's what she's running for.
Excellent.
One of the things that I've noticed is during this current medical crisis situation that we have, that we've all been going through around the world for the last year or two, how does one get their message out there? Well, the best way has always been word of mouth, really. A great example of that, even though I have recently severed ties and support. I didn't really have any ties. I just had a lot of love for the man. And I still have a great respect for his tenacity and whatnot, but he parroted the false narrative that was presented for Gavin Newsom's recall. And for that, I can no longer openly support Bernard.
Yeah.
But I do still have a great respect for him, because I don't think he's a bad person. I think he just made a wrong decision there, and it cost my support.
Yeah.
That being said, the case point with word of mouth still currently, within the last couple of elections, holding serious value. I went back home to the Sierra Nevadas, to the Placer County, Nevada County, El Dorado County area.
Yeah.
A lot of people did not like the selection, and so they were thinking of going back to voting for someone red. Maybe someone very close to the middle, right? And I mentioned Senator Sanders. And, being younger, I pull out my nifty little Google phone and my Googlepedia, and I show them, and I read off some of, well, did you know he's been in the Senate this long, and he's had these stances, is known for having maintained these stances for, wow, longer than I've been alive. And he doesn't sway on that. So he's not flim-flam, he's not a flip-flopper. All of a sudden, there were pockets of the mountains that were going for Bernie. When they were so just fed up with all of the blue choice in the area, they said, maybe we'll just pick someone in the red. And along came Bernie. The initial reports were that, Hillary swept through and, California loves Hillary. We know that was false now.
Right.
I mean, no one can really hold very much ground anymore trying to say Hillary won it. I had someone once tell me that, in my opinion, it was my opinion that Bernie was the popular candidate of the people's choice. And I was like, if you look at the numbers, and they're like, well, if you look at the numbers, Bernie lost. So, really, he wasn't the people's choice. And it came out years later, rather than publish those those figures in a timely manner the way that they normally would. They posted them, I believe that was nearly 4 years later, to show that, well, actually, Senator Bernard Sanders did indeed sweep California. Twice.
Yeah, exactly. Robert, anything else you wanted to cover, brother? And then we'll go to Jason. Okay.
Roberto?
Well, he wanted the political campaign. We did cover that. That's really good. It was a long day for me because I had to go back to work after a year and a half of COVID. So about 10 more minutes. Let's go to Jason. What's on your radar, to borrow what Crystal and Mr. and Jetty say?
Oh, wow. Well, as there's a lot on my radar, and we'll see how much I can get through how quickly. So, people around the world are noticing the breakdown of the U.S. Nations around the world noticing the breakdown of the U.S. The U.S. not being as functional as it used to be, not maybe being quite as true to its word, to its allies, as it used to be. You know, it's kind of become a shit show. So the rest of the world woke up recently to this whole thing when they realized what we at Yes California have been saying for a while. Just because Joseph Biden got elected as president, it does not mean that the giant gash made in the side of the ship from hitting that iceberg, it doesn't mean that that gash isn't still sinking the ship. You can bet your sweet dippy. That's for the older folk out there who know laughing. You can bet it that the ship is still sinking. It will sink. It is going down. It is continuing to go down. It has not stopped. Have some compartments been kind of plugged up to slow the flood? Yeah, sure. Unless you've got a magnificent team of underwater welders out in the middle of the Atlantic in the middle of the night with a whole bunch of really good steel and like the proper, no, it's just not happening. That ship is going to sink. NATO's kind of realizing it. The U.S. with its AUKUS, the AUKUS. It was, oh my goodness. So here's an interesting thing about that. They can't actually, Australia can't maintain, can't really, doesn't have the training and know-how to operate. Also as part of a nuclear non-proliferation agreement thing, international agreement, where one, they would be breaking it. Two, they can't, as part of that treaty, have nuclear platform missile subs.
Okay.
So this deal that they just made at the pressuring of America it really screws Australia hard, because it's something they're not supposed to have, shouldn't have, can't have, and can't afford to have. They're not a nuclear superpower, right? it's kind of America trying to make Australia a nuclear superpower over there at China's, front door, which makes them a target potentially all of a sudden,
Right.
where they wouldn't have been really.
Interesting. Interesting. Huh.
Yeah, ultimately, they're not even supposed to have nuclear subs. So America pressured them to do something that's breaking international treaty and law and whatnot, and going to detrimentalize them, as well as cost them a significant amount of money. What? Just so America can sell them some nuclear submarines? Come on now. Who's making the subs? Let's follow the money. Who's making the subs? Where's that money going? Let's see it. Right? Someone, if you're watching Breaking Points, Crystal, Sagar, if you're out there watching, dig that shit up.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense. I will be back in about 30 minutes. I got to take care of something. But I'm going to keep the stream open. Is that cool?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have to.
I should just sit and talk and.
Yeah,
No,
don't have to. Or we close it in like 5 minutes. I got it.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer to have a little back and forth.
Okay.
One person just sitting rambling, kind of.
Fair enough. 5 more minutes. So the AUKUS treaty, yeah, absolutely. I didn't pick up on that. That's a good point, that they basically made a new nuclear power out of Australia, which is big.
And yeah, which is big on many different levels. It's also detrimental on many different levels. Mainly, the most of that detriment is going to be to Australia.
Because now they're a target?
Well, yeah, and economically speaking, their national defense is going to be tied up into, like, literally married as one to the United States now. I mean, these are submarines made by the U.S., and they're going to have to be maintained and, fueled, refueled, right? That's part of maintained. Who's making, the fissionable material for nuclear reactors nowadays? Oh, mostly the U.S.
Okay, so this is an arms sales thing. Okay.
Exactly. We've seen it with, the Republicans. I do have to say this for them. They at least have stuck to the standard of non-nuclear proliferation. They'll gladly war profit from some good old arms sales and distribution, but not with nuke stuff, not with chem stuff, not with bio stuff. Those biological and chemical weapons and nuclear weapons, big no-no, right? Not to anyone.
Yeah.
We saw under Secretary of State Hillary Clinton an historic arms deal went through, where one small yield tactical, air quotes, nuclear fission device was sold to Saudi Arabia, who then in turn used it on Yemen.
Yeah.
Oh, they claimed that, well, at first they claimed, no, that's fake news. Then they claimed, well, hey, we got it from America, so blame them. And then everyone turned to America, and America was like, come on, Howdy, you can't do that. You can't just throw us under the bus like that. We got you, man. Okay, folks, let me handle the PR. We did sell them that, but they weren't supposed to use it. Naughty them. It then came back that, Saudi Arabia's like, okay, yes, we did. Maybe we shouldn't have, but really, it was just a bunch of terrorists. Well, having seen actual footage of it, which it was there for a little bit, and I showed my uncle, who didn't believe it. He was like, no. And I was like, yes. And I showed him the footage, and he was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, dude, that's an American-made nuke, too. It's just been used against a small village of people who did not want to give up their land. Well, their lands will never be lived on again, at least not time in the next 1,000 years or whatever, right?
Yeah. Right.
Well, so the big story that got missed in all of that was that the other part of that arms sale went to Russia. And it was a bunch of what they say is decommissioned, right? It's no longer highly active. It's not, super duper fresh hot out the oven, enriched fissionable material. It's still, fissionable material from nuclear weapons decommissioned by United States, yada, 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 right? So it's some of the very high-grade weapons stuff. And it was sold to Russia. It's what they used in their Satan II missile. It's not really called Satan II, but when you translate it, it's Satan. So,
Yeah.
And it's apt because they even realize, yes, we will build it so that, it's there as a deterrent, but God forbid we ever have to use this devil.
Yeah.
They recognize it. It's straight up evil. They don't want it.
So 3 more minutes, and then I gotta go. I do have to do something.
Yeah. Sorry. So when looking at the U.S. pulling out of Afghanistan, where did a lot of those troops, especially the naval powers, pull out to? South China Sea, India, right? They didn't go far. It's turning out that, all this information's coming out about Pakistan help the Taliban defeat America. Yeah, so they didn't pull out that far away, right? They pulled out and stepped back, but they didn't go home. And now they're kind of, at first they were ramping it up where it seemed like they were asking, do we want to go to war with China or Russia? The mainstream media, as well as the executive and whatnot, they started pushing Russophobia again. Yes, let's scapegoat. Yeah, you know who else made a scapegoat for all their problems? Adolf fucking Hitler. Just don't do it. Just own up to your shit.
Yeah.
Learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
So they do the China, Russia, Russia. And it's like, why so eager to go back to war? And then it comes out, you definitely just lost this. It was Pakistan and the Taliban. And America just haphazardly pulled out at the 28th hour too, no less. Like had to get permission from the Taliban to stay around a little longer. Come on now. And NATO saw this. All of our friends saw this. And the whole time, America was secretly pushing through this Australia nuclear superpower deal. I'm wondering what America is playing at. And then I'm also realizing, no matter what it is, I don't want any part of it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's not.
All right, that's it for me. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
took it out of me today, so I'm gonna end the stream. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Mucho gusto, hermano.
Sorry, guys. First day back to work after COVID. So whatever. But we're still. So if you want the formal meeting, Sunday, 11 a.m. You want the informal good times, exciting, but a lot of irrelevant. Words aren't with me right now, so sorry, bro. So yeah, come on here for a good time Tuesday evening. I'm just gonna end the broadcast because I can't.
Yeah.
So later, bro. Later.
Yeah. Join us on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Thank you. Thank you. Seriously, I don't know what's.